So for those of you who still think we're a brewery, a bit of a sales pitch is we run. I feel a bit guilty actually standing in Harrison Hall this evening because we run Costa Coffee, Premier Inn, and a number of restaurant brands. Beefeater is probably one that you're probably most familiar with, and we employ about 45,000 people in the UK. Enough of that sales pitch. I won't talk any more about that. But what I will talk about is a little bit about me, because our mission is to make everyday experiences feel special. And part of delivering that is all about the brilliant team members, the 40,000 or so people who do make the coffee, and clean the bedrooms, and grill the steaks, every day for us, helping to deliver a fantastic customer experience. And we know that talented people in our organisation really matter. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about my journey in Whitbread. So, although I look incredibly young and beautiful, I have actually worked for Whitbread for over 25 years.
Never.
Thank you. Now, I know that is completely unrealistic for nearly everybody in this room here today. And the days of working for 25 years for one organisation are well and truly over. And some of the clips on the film show would help support that. But the reason why I've stayed so long is because twice somebody has given me the opportunity to do something that I wasn't expecting. It certainly wasn't a master plan. Truth is, I took my first job at Whitbread thinking, that'll do until something better comes along. I jacked my previous job in because I was working in hotels and I was fed up working shifts. Met a fella, you know how it goes, didn't want to work the evenings anymore. Had a week's holiday booked, thought, I don't want to go back to work after my holiday. I was still living at home, it was the 80s, jobs were everywhere. Went home, told my mum, I'm not going back there, I'll find something else. And totally didn't worry about that it was ever going to not be true. It was just not on my radar. Anyway, twice somebody gave me the opportunity to do a complete change of direction in my career. The first time was when I moved from doing some admin roles. My very first job in Whitbread was a telephonist. I answered the phone with, good morning, welcome to Whitbread, how can I help you? And someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, have you ever thought of working in IT? And I went, oh, okay then, I'll give that a go. And then about 10 years ago, it happened to me again, when someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, Tinders, you really should be working in HR, why don't you come on over to the dark side? Now, I often take a chance to think about, what did they see? Why did they think, why would she be good at doing that? I like to think it was potential. It certainly was an experience. I was so totally unqualified to do both of those big moves that I made. My background is hotel management. I was qualified to work in hotel, it wasn't all bad. But actually, the opportunity, I think it was a calculated risk, so they kind of knew me, they kind of knew what I was like. They knew my values, my motivations, my behaviours that Gareth talked about. But actually, they still took a chance, because what they didn't do is think about my experience, because actually, I had none. And if I'd have applied for that job, I probably wouldn't have even got an interview, never mind landed the job in the first place. So I had a quick look at Wiki before I came here. I had to read this to think, well, what is bloody potential anyway? You know, what's this poncy word that people keep talking about? Apparently, it is the capacity to develop into something great based on an unrealized ability. Now, I'm not standing here saying I think I'm great, but I definitely had unrealized ability that someone spotted and gave me an opportunity to leverage. And I think everybody has that in them, to spot that in somebody else, in their organisation, and give them a chance and give them a break. So, why is talent attraction therefore so important? Well, you know what? It costs a bloody fortune. Okay? We're a really big organisation. And we estimate the cost of training, recruiting, advertising, interviewing. Oh, it's so boring as well, isn't it? It takes forever and it costs a lot of money. We think about £30 million a year for our business. Okay, that is money not to be sniffed at. But there's also the hidden costs of recruiting new people. So actually, what is the impact on your customer experience when somebody's new into your organisation? How effectively does that team function while somebody's new and joining the team? And what difference does that make to how that team performs? How productive are they every time they have new people joining them? So it's obvious, isn't it? It costs a lot of money. You buy people with experience. They come in, they get up to speed, they know what they're doing, they fit in, it's fantastic. You don't have to train them as much. I don't think that's right. I think it's time for a reality check. I think attitude and potential, behaviours, motivations are far more important than experience. Without our team members, we don't have a business. But let's be really honest here. I can train you to make brilliant coffee, to clean a bedroom, to grill a steak. But what I can't do is train you to smile all bloody day, to be happy standing on your feet, to talk to complete strangers, and actually to be proud to deliver a service, because we are in a service industry in my business. And you kind of have to want to do those things. If you're not happy to want to do that, it doesn't matter what you say on your interview, you're really not going to last with us very long, because you've got to want to be in that sort of business. I don't think I'm the only person that thinks this either. I was doing a bit of poking around on the internet before tonight, thinking, oh, how can I make this more interesting? And I come across some top 5 tips from an organisation called Springboard Enterprises. And I agree with what Gareth said actually earlier. Performance does not equal future success. Your past performance does not equal your future success. Okay? But Springboard also give us 5 top tips that I want to share with you. So tip 1. Education doesn't make a difference in determining future performance. It's not just about experience, it's about education as well. Some roles, clearly education is important. Think back to the brain surgeon analogy. However, particularly in the customer service industry, it's just not that important. Tip 2, don't listen to CVs. All they are is a marketing tool by the candidate to try and get the job. Big pinch of salt required. Tip 3, if experience is important, don't overestimate the actual value of the experience in the sum of the whole recruitment piece. So actually don't overegg the value of experience when you're making your decision about who to employ. And step 4, don't ignore cultural fit. It's just as important for the candidate to want to work for you and for you to want the candidate to work for you. That fit brings a long-term relationship. It does sound like a dating agency, but is pretty important. And their 5th tip is there is a hidden benefit in hiring people for potential, and that benefit is loyalty. And the longer somebody stays with you, the more cost-effective that hire has been. So we are working with chemistry. I'm delighted to be working with a chemistry group. So we've taken some time out to think about looking at our best team members that work in our organisation and what makes them tick. Actually, what are their behaviours, their values and their motivations? What's their mojo? And how can we look for that in the people that we want to come and work for us in the future and try and recreate that experience? We have stopped asking questions about what experience do you have? Or even more enlightening, what do you like to do in your spare time? Let me guess, socialise with my friends? We've all been there. What does that tell you about how they're going to do the job? Diddly squat, nothing. We started asking questions about how do you like to collaborate? How do you like to work as part of a team? What do you want from your line manager? How do you make decisions? How do you problem solve? To try and give a bit more of an understanding of the individual. We've also tackled the line managers and tried to encourage them not just to accept the first pair of hands that walks through the door because they're short-staffed and it's busy and they really don't want to work Saturday night. Much better to wait for the right pair of hands, the person that's going to fit for a long-term commitment to your team. Because the less hires you have to make, the less money you're spending on hiring people, and the less, I mean, it's a pain. Hiring people is hard work. It's a lot of work for a line manager to do. And all of our hiring for our team members happens by the line manager in the business unit that they work in. There was another little quote that I found from, I'm going to read it out, Amazon, one of my favourite online shops because I spend a fortune there. Their CEO, if any doubt how important hiring brilliant people is, Jeff Bezos said, setting the bar high in our approach to hiring has been and will be the single most important element of success. I think you can all agree with me that Amazon is an amazingly successful company, and if this is their primary ethos about getting the right people in, then it can't be a bad act to follow. Now, I'm not sitting here saying this works for all roles. It doesn't. There are absolutely some roles where experience is required, education is required, but all I'm asking you to think about today is it always necessary? And is it always as important as what you think it is?